Greetings, trackers. Kim here from Bear Tracker Nature Films, and today I'm out here in a forest of tin oaks and madrones. And what I was doing was taking the GPS and trying to find a property corner, but I ran across this bear trail out here just now. I haven't even walked on it yet, but notice how the route through here is really well worn down, and even through the bushes up there, straight through there. But I'm looking at these, and I got a stick in my eye. But notice how well worn and rounded the appearance is of this here and this here. See how it's got a depression here? It's really large, well worn into the forest duff. These are madrone leaves and some tan oak leaves here. But this as well. Here, here, and look up here. So here's a nice smooth spot on the soil. And the only animal out here that has large, smooth-bottomed feet is the black bear, other than humans. But notice also that these ferns have been knocked over. They're right in the direction of travel here. And here's a look through the trail. And it's very well worn, kind of cleared of vegetation. Oops. As it goes through here, and then comes up into these huckleberries. But if you get down here at the bear's level, check that out. There's a trail. For a human, we stand up here, and this is what we see, but you can kind of see ahead. However, if you get down on all fours, you could go right through there at the bear's level. And that's what the bears have been doing. For me, I gotta watch this, because it's late December, and that there is poison oak without any leaves on it, so I gotta be careful. But this is a little bear trail. Cool, huh? One of the numbers of things you can find if you go out tracking. So now I've made it to the log. I'm under the huckleberries, and look at this scratch mark here. Now this could be from a deer's hoof, or it could be from a bear's claw going over the log. I couldn't tell for sure on that, but there's a couple of little pinprick sort of things here, which I suspect may have been made by a bear claw going over it. I definitely know bears use this trail. And here's what it looks like ahead if the camera will focus. Well, maybe it won't. Too dark in here. So I made it past the log and came through back there. Up here, notice how the forest duff has been really disturbed right here. There's a lot of foraging going on by many species, but this is also on the main trail here. And I say main trail because you can see how these leaves have been flattened in here. Look at that. Right in here, right in there, and on into here, into this huckleberry thicket. Look how dark and cave-like it is under here. But you get down again by the bear's level, there's a little trail through there. So if I crawl through here, it looks like there might be a little daylight on the other side. But it's pretty dark under here. And if you're a human, you're way up here. You can't get through it. So you have to get down to a bear size, because this trail was made by a bear. Alright, I gotta put the camera away to go through that. So looking back, I came through here, and now I'm looking ahead into another blackberry thicket. But again, if you get down here, you can see the animals go through underneath. So I'll have to go that way instead of this way. So here's some neat sign I found on the other side. If you look at the base of this tree, which is a Douglas fir, you see all these little white things. And if you come over here onto this little lump of soil, you see a lot more. And what these are is the remains of fungi, mushrooms. They've been fed upon by a squirrel, and out here I would suspect this is being done by the western gray squirrel. Because of the way this is, it's on a perch. Douglas squirrels will also do this, but usually if they're going to do it, they're going to perch up in a tree. So there's plenty of perches up here. And they also will store fungus in the trees. And since this one's being fed upon on the ground, I suspect this was a western gray squirrel. So just something else to look for. And my trail is going this way. So you can see all this disturbance to the duff. This has probably been done by a bird called the varied thrush. They're spending a lot of time on the ground right now and doing this sort of thing. So there's two trails leaving from here. One, let me get my pointer. One of them goes straight under that huckleberry, right there. There's also some more squirrel sign here. And if you look under there, you can make out a trail. Disturbance going under there. And there's another trail over here. So through this huckleberry, around this stump, and then on up that way. That's a little clearer. But it's kind of going the wrong direction. I need to go the other direction. So, we'll see. Looks like it gets more dense with huckleberries right down there, though. So we'll see where this trail leads. Here's another cool place on the Bears Trail. And if you look down here, there's a little slope. And from up here at human eye level, just looks like a dense blackberry thicket. No way through it. But if you get down here, Bear's eye level, you can see there's a little tunnel through it. So, I gotta go through this one the short way. Bear's eye level. So I came through there, in this deep dark little place, and I heard something scurrying away from me in the brush. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm close to the bears. But a human moving through here makes so darn much noise. Anyway, I'm definitely on the Bears Trail. Tracks here. Nice worn tracks here. So this is a very open area in the middle of huckleberries. So there's some ferns, bracken ferns, and all around it, it's huckleberry. Pampas grass right there. And there's a little tunnel. But you can see this is a perfect little hidey hole. So if you were a bear, you'd probably want to hang out here too. So the direction I heard sounds from was this way. So I may have disturbed them. I don't want to make too much noise and scare them off. So let's just explore this. Okay, well I came through here and got through some more huckleberries and found this little opening in the forest. A couple of logs to go over. And then it looks like more huckleberries up there. It's all pretty dense in here with huckleberries. But if you look underneath, that's where the trails are. So I reached a dead end over there. Over a log, and just, there's a wall of huckleberries. I think the bears went downhill, but the direction I wanted to go was the other way. So, I figured I'd come check out this trail instead. See where this one goes. Because it's a branch off that little clearing. Ooh, look. Hey. Guess who did that? So bears will often rip into old stumps looking for grubs and ants and things like that to eat. The ant pupae are high in protein, but that stump's pretty solid still. So they took a couple of swipes at it, it looks like. Ripped off some of the outer bark, but doesn't look like it yielded any food. Here's a pretty cool madrone tree. The madrone I'm looking for, the property boundary, is a madrone that has an old blaze mark on it. But I'm not going to find it here today. I also found this bear scat at the base of the madrone. Looks like it's a little old, it's aged. So there's some grasses in it, it looks like. Probably from the spring, because it's got grasses in it. But there's a bear scat, so I know I'm on the right trail. And then this way, there's also a fairly well-used trail going in this direction. that has some marks in it that look like regularly used bear tracks. Ooh, and there's another scat. Here. Gotta see this one. Okay, this is a fresher scat. This one is made out of acorns. And this is what they're eating now. So there's a nice, well, more fresh, within the last couple weeks anyway. More fresh than that scat you just saw, but there's definitely a bear trail here. So you know that these little divots here were made by a black bear. And he's going under that way. And this is what acorn meal looks like when the bears are feeding on it. They spit out the seeds, although there are pieces right here and here. So you can see those two pieces. Those are the shells. They usually spit out the shells, but they eat the nut. So there's a bear scat made of acorn meal. So just for fun, let's follow that trail of that bear backwards. I'm not going to find what I was looking for in here anyway, so this is more fun anyhow. So you can see the depressions in the duff layer here. The duff is wetter right now, so it doesn't depress as well as it does in the summertime when the leaves just break. But you can see a line of disturbance heading in this direction. So we'll follow that. So this is more like it. Much more fun than following a huckleberry trail, because you don't have to crawl in here. So here's some foraging digging, probably by a squirrel. But you can also see some depressions in the ground here made by the bear. And I have to go under the trees. So that's why you hear my pack scraping on stuff. So, there's another trail going that way. With some well-worn indentations on it. And then this trail goes back into the huckleberries. Well, if you're a bear, I guess you like huckleberries. So it's the end of the season and there aren't any huckleberries really on these bushes right now. But if you look down here, what's interesting is you can see the underside of some of these leaves turned up. And that happened because some of these broke off. This branch has the upper, see how it's kind of shiny white right there? And here it's all worn off. It was stepped on. And if you look over here, here's some more leaves that were broken off. There's a bunch of these. So I think the bears were foraging in here, because see how these were turned over, upside down? And then, if you go over here on this trail, you see the same thing. So you find them on the ground, and they've been broken off. And if you were to follow this bear's trail through here, these are broken off, there's some broken off, and here's, you go under at the bear's eye level, and what do you see in there? Some more broken off branches right there. So they could have been foraging in here. This is called evergreen huckleberry, and it does produce really delicious berries, and I don't see any left, but it's not, fall wasn't that long ago, and the bears were probably in here. You can see broken off branches and things. So they've been foraging for huckleberries, which are really pretty tasty. So I wanted to show you what huckleberries look like. Here's one remaining on the bush, but notice these little things here that are empty. And all these branches have those, the little empty ones, the stubs where the berries were. So there's a couple of berries here and there, but it really looks as if the bears have cleaned these plants off. And they have very flexible lips, so they can come up here and their little lips can just go pluck and pluck off one berry, or they can just go like that and pluck off a bunch of them all at once. But these have been foraged. These plants are missing some of their berries, and there's very few left now. A little late in the season for them to be eating these, but this is not necessarily new sign. Could have been done a couple months ago. So now I'm following a trail made by a deer, or by a bunch of deer actually, and I came through here, and it opens up down here, and heads down onto what looks like, might have been an old logging road back in the day, but this place was logged probably 40 years ago, maybe more. And so all this growth dates from then. So you can see the deer trails are pretty well worn into the landscape and pretty easy to follow because the vegetation doesn't tend to overgrow them as much. The deer use these a lot. They're like little highways. So they'll stop and they'll forage, like on this plant here, which is called coyote brush. And they just forage as they go. And as they do that, they wear these trails into the landscape. So here's an intersection. One trail goes that way, and one trail goes down the hill. Here's a deer scat right here. And I think I'm going to take the one that's a little more well-worn, just because it looks like there might be some fun stuff to see up there. So as I followed that through here and come out of the trees, I see that it comes out to another clearing. And a really cool madrone over there. Hollow. And another trail. You can see the disturbance in the leaves here that indicates the trail going that way. So that's a well-used deer trail. Oh, and there's something there I'll show you. I'm going to go that way. Something interesting to point out. So when you follow wildlife trails, sometimes you find stuff that's made by humans out in the woods. Not only am I talking about the stumps like these that indicate the logging was done in here, but in this case, something unique to this area. So, first I need to tell you I'm in Humboldt County, California. Second, I'll tell you Humboldt County, California is known for its illegal growing of marijuana. And this is an old site where somebody did something real creative, I guess. Trying to make the camera focus. That is a bag made out of, I guess, nylon or something. And then this green stuff that's kind of draped around it is some sort of camouflage netting. And what this very enterprising marijuana grower did is put bags of soil up in the trees. And this was a tan oak tree. Looks like it's died. This sign has been here for years. I first found these when I was stumbling through the forest probably 15 years ago. And they've been up here in the trees ever since. Nobody's used them. I don't even know how long before I found it had been used. Although when I found it, it looked a lot fresher than this. There were several of these. I'm looking. I think there's one downhill from it still. But over the years, they've probably all fallen out of the trees. But this is a rather unique human sign. Probably found nowhere else but in this area. And that explains what that is. So moving on from the human sign. This deer trail is also used by other animals, probably the bears as well, but it's very well worn into the edge of the hillside here, and you can see there's also a branch that goes that way. But this one that curves around and kind of follows the contour of the hillside is probably primarily used by deer. Just to give you a more close-up view of this thing, that's the bag up there. Still has soil in it, still stuck in the tree, watered by nature, and now it's got ferns growing from it. So hey, that's pretty cool. And it looks like some kind of plastic, maybe. I don't know what they use. I know they have special bags that they use for this stuff. But my thing with this when I first found it was, how the heck did they get water up here? So, yeah, your guess is as good as mine. They probably had to haul water to these things. Too much work for me. I'd rather have a real job. Anyway, that's a rather unique human sign. Let's go follow a deer trail. It's a lot more fun. So, I hope you enjoyed that look at trailing deer and bears and looking at signs of bears and all kinds of animals up here in the woods. I hope that adventure was enough to awaken your interest, and maybe you'll go out and go tracking on your own and see what you can find. And follow the deer trails and the bear trails. They lead you somewhere. The animals, you make those trails for a reason, so follow them, see where they go. It's kind of fun. See you on the trail.